Here is the prompt for your final major paper of the quarter, paper number 4. And in this paper, you're going to be using a specific reading as a lens. So make sure you get online and get that reading printed off because you're going to want to take a lot of notes on it. And it is time to bring your A game in academics and athletics. So that's the article you're going to be looking or using as a lens to analyze something else. The other thing that you are going to be analyzing through the lens of this article is a current event that you choose. One thing that you need to be very careful of is that not all current events might be worthy of an analysis through this lens, or might be able or will make a plausible analysis with this lens. So make sure that you read through the article first, pick out what you think the core ideas are that you want to apply to a current event, and then pick a current event that will work for it. So don't start by picking a current event because it may not work very well. Read first and then pick your event later. Okay, let's see here. Make sure you reread this prompt multiple times. This might be a very challenging paper for you. Hopefully it'll be the work worth all the work in the end, but you've probably never done something like this before, and it can be rather difficult to do. So if you ever have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate to ask. Don't ever hesitate to send me a draft of your paper, to send me a draft of your thesis, to just run some ideas by me. I am more than willing to help you, and I mean, that's what I'm here for. So please use me in that respect. Run some ideas by me. If you have a couple options that you're thinking about, I'm always willing to let you know which one I think is more plausible based on my perspective. So please don't hesitate to ask if you want to run some ideas by me or ask for some help. As far as format goes, make sure that you have all the basic MLA standards that we've had so far all quarter. The response sheet for the essay has all the specifics on that. You're going to need to have a Works Cited page that includes the article that you're using as a lens, so make sure you don't forget about that because you are going to have to mention it and the author and reference it throughout your paper. So you got to make sure that that's in your Works Cited page. Plus, you need to have 2 non-internet only sources in your Works Cited page as well. And those 2 sources are going to help back up the current event that you choose. All right, for the assignment, the first step I want you to do is to reread pages 118 to 119 in the textbook. And this is going to remind you of what using a reading as a lens is supposed to do, what it'll look like. I know the book provides examples, so make sure you take a look at those and get a good sense of what you're being asked to do in this analysis. Next, you want to read Time to Bring Your A Game in Academics and Athletics. This is actually a conference address that was delivered to the NCAA convention, but in our terms, it's an article because it's written out for us. So this is the lens that you're going to be using. Read it multiple times, annotate it as you go, make sure you pick out the main points. And if you are doing this correctly, the main points that you pick out from the article have nothing to do with academics or athletics. So for example, one of the things that I got out of this article that could be applied to something else is leadership. Leadership does not specifically refer to academics or athletics. Okay, so does that make sense? Those are the types of things that you're going to want to apply to the current event that you choose. Really, once you pick out those main ideas, which is what you should do, read, annotate, and then pick out the main ideas that you see. I know I'm repeating that, but that's the first major step in this process. And then once you get those core ideas out, none of them should be specific or at least specifically related to academics and athletics. If that doesn't make sense, let me know. That's why I'm having you use this as a lens, because it is more than just academics and athletics that this guy is talking about. It can be applied to multiple things. So that's what you are going to do. Okay, once you have analyzed the article that you're using as the lens, your paper needs to be 5 full pages long, and then you need to apply the ideas that you pulled out of the article and apply them to a current event that's either happening in the country, in the state, in the world, wherever. I don't care. Just make sure that it's a good match for the article, as I've said before. Again, you need to cite a minimum of 2 sources to help support your current event and what's going on with that current event and what it is that you are analyzing about that current event. So the 2 sources that you get are not to support the article, but are to support your current event. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, you need to use non-web only sources. That means you need to find books and journal articles, even newspaper articles, maybe news clips off the internet, maybe. It depends on their credibility, but you need to do more than just a Google search. That's not gonna get you anywhere in this paper. Okay, so if you have questions about that, again, let me know. So once you have analyzed the article, once you have found your sources to support your current event, write your essay so that the article becomes your lens for analyzing your current event or solving it. And I use the word solving very liberally. I don't expect you to be able to solve a world problem based on this article, but you can at least shed some light on it, just as Duncan does in his article. He's addressing a very, very big problem with some very basic ideas. So you're going to use his ideas to apply it to a different problem. Does that make sense? The academics and athletics are the problem he's trying to solve with his ideas. You then extract his ideas and apply it to a different problem of the current event that you choose. Make sure you have a really good thesis statement right off the bat. You know that you can always adjust it and manipulate it as you go through, but if you start with a solid idea of what you're going to be doing, it will really help in the end. Make sure you tie everything together with that thesis statement. Make sure everything is supported and everything works together again to support that thesis statement as you move through your paper. This essay will have a tendency to become very disjointed if you don't use your transitions and tie everything together very clearly with description and other types of support, your sources, all of that. You need to relate everything together. Otherwise, it's all just going to be kind of out there on your page and not working together to create a cohesive and unified essay. Okay, so make sure everything is tied together. Audience is pretty much general public, so make sure you do a good job with your development and support. And then the assessment is just like the past 3 papers. You'll get points for doing it, but then I will give you comments and let you know where I think you are at the point that you turn in your essay. Here's a response sheet, pretty standard. So I've got the MLA, 5 full pages. You have to have the 2 outside sources. Let's see here. One thing that I did add was creativity, style, and engagement of the reader. So make sure that you do more than just blandly relay your information. Really try to work on your style and maybe have some humor or something in there. I don't know. Work on your style however you want to. So again, that's all pretty basic. Reread, as I've already said, reread this prompt multiple times if it is not becoming clear right away. And if, a question still continues to pop up, just let me know. So I wanted to show you an example of this. This is actually a paper that I wrote in my undergrad program, so several years ago, but it's doing exactly what I'm asking you to do. This was in my medieval lit literature course. So I applied, here it is. So Gervais Matthews' ideas of knighthood in late 14th century England. Apparently I can't speak today. So this was my lens, and I was applying it to Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Okay, and I clearly say this: I will employ the virtues discussed in Gervais Matthews' article, blah, 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 to show that while Gawain has a reputation of being an ideal knight, blah, 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 the Green Knight surpasses him in all 6 values. Okay, so I'm being very explicit in what I'm doing, but this is using a reading as a lens. Here is my lens that I'm using to apply to a piece of literature. So what I do first is I always start with who the idea came from, which is obviously Matthew, Gervais Matthew. A little confusing because his last name looks like a first name. So I always credit him with the ideas and then apply whatever it is that he said to the Green Knight. If you want to look at this more in depth, let me know and I'll email it to you. I didn't think anybody would really want to sit here and read through my work from years ago, but it is exactly what I'm asking you to do. So if you think it'd be helpful, let me know. So again, the next virtue associated with knighthood, as stated by Matthew, is the virtue of loyalty. Again, I am referring specifically back to the author. That's exactly what you're going to have to do with Duncan and his article, Time to Bring Your A Game. You're going to have to say, Duncan says this. It can be applied to this problem in this way. I mean, that's really, really bland and generic, but same thing. And then let's come to a conclusion, because I'm sure I mentioned it there. Yep, so based on the 6 virtues of knighthood established by Gervais Matthew, the Green Knight comes out of the story as the worthier knight. So this shows that I used Matthew as the lens for analyzing the characters, and this is the conclusion I came up with. Okay, pretty straightforward when you really think about it. This paper is just going to take a lot of thought and planning. Here's your works cited page, or my works cited page. I just wanted to show you because this is what it's going to start to look like as you have more and more sources. So make sure the lines are indented as they should be. So again, if you want to take a deeper look at this, let me know. Again, I don't think anybody would really be super interested other than showing you that, yes, this is not some isolated, horrible thing that I'm making you do. But this is how you use a reading as a lens. Let me know if you have any issues, and good luck. Use all 3 weeks. You're going to need them. So go ahead and get started now.